Hi there, I'm MJ, and welcome to Voice Notes Community. Oh God, I was supposed to thank you for your time, but you guys, hi there. It's 11:13. I was supposed to start recording, I think at 10. I think at 10. Yeah, but then my flatmates were awake, so I didn't want to start recording till they went to sleep because I don't want their noise in our recording. My week has been great. Thank you for asking. How has your week been? My week has been really good. Started work, and that has just been good because, like, the testimony is just testimonying. To be honest, like, I dipped how much of a testimony getting this job has been. I'm just super grateful to God for this job. Also, you guys, I'm going through a lot because I'm hungry all of the time. Right now, I'm not hungry because I've been talking to people for a bit. Like, I've actually been on the phone for about an hour. I'm actually still on the phone right now. Like, I'm on the phone with a friend right now. But I've been on the phone. I've spoken to my dad. I've spoken to like 3 to 4 friends this night, and I've just been talking a lot. So I think that's why I'm not hungry right now. But you guys, so I'm trying to. I think I mentioned this in an earlier episode, but like, I'm trying to be healthier. I'm trying to lose some weight, so like, I'm very hungry. Like, my stomach actually makes noise, which is very disgraceful. Like, my stomach actually makes noise. But yeah, I think I'm a little tired at this point, so we're about to get very serious. First of all, and then also, you guys, one of my favorites. I don't know why, because honestly, this person, I just really like the energy. Like, I don't know why, I just really like the person's energy. So the person dropped the second episode of their podcast today, and I was just so excited. And then also some other friends of mine, okay, maybe one of them is not my friend right now, but we're friends at some point. I was a very bad friend, but some friends of mine also dropped their first episode. I'm not sure if it was today or I don't know when it was, but like, I just found out about it today, and I'm just so excited to listen to them as well. So I'm going to put links. I'm going to start sharing links, you guys. So I'm going to start sharing. But then, first of all, you guys, I have a quote. Okay, I want to try something. I want to stop for 10 seconds and just like think. So everybody, join me. Just stop. I'm going to wait for it to be 10 seconds on a dot, and then we'll just think quietly. Let's go. All right, that's 10 seconds. What are you thinking about? You will start commenting as well, please. In Jesus' name, please comment. I am begging you. But then, also, I said I'm going to mention this. Go and listen to your pastor. If you have not listened to your pastor this week, go and listen, because I'm going to drag you at some point in this episode. But go and listen to your pastor. Now, I have a quote of the week, you guys. I'm trying to add some more structure so that there's more structure in the podcast. So I have a quote of the week, and the quote of the week is this: stop praying to run from the devil, start praying to run towards God. Stop, like, all those prayers of, God save me from this. Start praying, God, I want you in my life. God, I need you. Like, I don't know, I'm not going to go further in that explanation, but start praying to run towards God. I'm pointing at you in particular. All right, so let's talk about superstitions a bit before I go into what we're actually talking about today. Do you guys remember in like secondary school where if a girl is walking past, and this is probably if you went to school in Nigeria, but if like a girl is walking past and you put your leg on the way and she walks over your leg, then she'll start begging you to put your leg back so you can walk back over, because apparently if she walked over your leg, her baby will look like you for some reason. Who remembers that? Like, if you think about it, there are all these things that we actually believe till today that are born out of things that somebody said, that somebody did, that somebody claimed was true. That's probably not. Like, it's not based on anything that is real. Like, there's no evidence, because, to be honest, think about it. Another thing is to upset people's days. Like, just think about it. How is walking over somebody's leg going to affect the, and this is actually funny because you're in secondary school, you're not even pregnant. But then just think about how powerful that is. And then I also remember, I think there was this final that Chelsea had when Drogba was still there. And I remember somebody saying that, oh, they brought an elephant to the stadium. Now think about the logistics. I don't know where Chelsea is in. It's in I'm guessing it's in London. But I think about the logistics of moving an elephant. Now I don't know if this story is true or not, but just think about it. Imagine what you must really, really, really think that elephant is going to do something. I put a link here that I don't have time to open, but like there are all these superstitions that like footballers have and things that they do. I think one of them said that John Terry had like upwards of 50 superstitions that he did before every game. Like just imagine. Now, isn't that what faith is? Like believing the power of something so much that it causes you to act. Like that is what faith is. Like that is quite literally what faith is. So I wrote here that believing that something is slash will be without concrete defensible proof. So believing that as I go out today, nothing is going to touch me. Or as I go out today, I am blessed without there's no proof. There's nothing that. And then the funny thing is, God is actually good because there's actually proof. Hold on. We're going to get there. There is a lot of Bible reading that I don't think I'm actually going to open. But then, I think if you have time, read James 2:14-25. It basically talks about faith and works, like how you should act if you say you have faith, like living by faith. But let's talk about. So first of all, shout out to my dad. My dad is the coolest. Like he is actually the coolest, like the best. Like honestly, I don't think there's anything that, because sometimes I think about the things that my dad has done for me and like the way he loves, like obviously it's not in like a movie type of love. Like it's not like, oh, let's hang out and play FIFA or anything. I feel like my dad would actually be down for that, but then it's just in a tension. And then I feel like a lot of the time parents are more into like your growth than your enjoyment. So like sometimes I just want to talk, and my dad is like, what courses are you doing now and everything, and that is love. But then that was actually just a shout out to my father. But the point is, when you think about, so for example, now think about this. If let's say we adopt a person into my family now, like let's say we adopt this my friend as on the phone to my family, and I'm like, my dad is the best, yada yada yada, he's so good, he's so kind, he'll do this, he'll do that, he'll do this, he'll do that. But then this person doesn't know my dad yet. Like this person hasn't experienced my dad the way I have experienced my dad. They don't know my dad, like they don't even know the depth of his I say abilities. Who doesn't know the depth of his abilities, like the things that he can do, the things he can afford. Because I can't lie myself, I feel like I used to be shocked by my dad, because I feel like parents in general, like they kind of, when they need to, it's like the money appears from somewhere. Shout out to every parent. But then now imagine you're in that situation. So it's harder for you to believe me when I'm saying about my dad, because you don't actually know him. And I think that that's the problem with a lot of us and God. Because the Bible actually tells us faith comes by hearing, and by hearing the word of God. And because we're listening to other things, I honestly feel like this whole podcast, like I feel like everything I'm going to say from now till whenever this podcast goes on is going to be centered around this thing. I'm currently working on the intro, like I'm going to have a proper produced intro. I might produce it myself, to be honest, but it would be really nice. And the idea is basically, what are you listening to? Because that is what decides a lot of things in your life. But the point is, the reason I believe in my dad is because I have been with him. I have experienced him. I have listened to him. I have listened to his words. So, like, over time, I have gotten to know him. The reason is sometimes hard is actually not just that we don't know, it's also that we forget. Someday, I will have a clothing brand, and like one of the shirts would be "Man often forgets." There's actually a very cool um quote that'll be on one of the shirts. I can't remember it right now, but like it was basically the idea that Lord help me to remember, because the truth is, because for example, me now, for example, I've experienced God in so many interesting, amazing ways, and yet I have fallen off so many times. And the simple reason, the clear reason to me is because I forget. It's because other things start to come into my mind, and it doesn't exactly delete, but it takes out those, like, what I actually know. Like, like I remember the first time, like, God spoke to me. Not like, no, obviously, I don't sound like a very serious person like that. But like the first time I experienced, like, when all those people in church that when they are like, when everybody's praying, you just give them their pen and they'll be writing things down. The first time I experienced that, I remember that it was this cool worship experience. It's called Ino. If you check it out on YouTube, oh my god, you will be blessed. But I feel like most people that are listening to this right now are probably like, they probably already know what it is. But in case you do not know, you can check it out. In fact, if you watch the first one, you see me. Like, if your eyes are open, because honestly, I feel like at some point you just close your eyes and pray. But if your eyes are open, you would see me. But let me not lose focus. The point is, when you, like, you experience God sometimes, but we forget. If you look at the Israelites throughout the Bible, all the things that they did after experiencing all of the goodness of God is actually crazy. So now, so faith, what is necessary for faith is that you know the God. So there's a definition of faith somewhere in the Bible that says, okay, it's Hebrews 11:6. It says, and it is impossible to please God without faith. Anyone who wants to come to him must believe God exists, so believe that he exists, and believe that he is a rewarder. I feel like we obey this thing halfway. So, like, we believe that God exists, no problem. But then we start to look at life and things. And sometimes there are all these not great examples of people who maybe for some reason they don't look like they are being rewarded for seeking God. So we now think, So we don't now believe the rest of the chapter, that's the rest of the verse that says, rewards those who sincerely seek him. So we start to seek other things instead of God. We start to place other things in higher value than God. We start to listen to other voices more than the voice of God. And I feel like what needs to happen for a lot of us, including me, is to truly live like that. Because once again, if we go back to Abraham, my people, that man actually believed. And it shows, this is the truth, it shows in how you act. Like, to be honest, fears in your mind are different. Example, in this my search for a job, like, I feel like I've mentioned this in past episodes about how I lost my job. I didn't have a job for a while, and then I was looking for a new job. In this my waiting for a new job, I felt like, and this is something that I can say it now because I remember thinking about it at the time. I was like, God, how will I tell people that I don't want to do a particular type of job? Like, I need to pay rent. I need to buy this. I need to eat and all of these things. I'm like, well, I didn't tell anybody because I was like, But the point is, I felt like God didn't want me to do particular type of jobs. And the funny thing was, those opportunities were now coming while I was waiting to get a new job. And the fear of God, how am I going to survive, is okay. But the acting like God isn't going to come through for you is where we step out. Okay, let's relax. Let's let's breathe. Let me try to. I feel like I'm not hitting it, to be honest. I feel like I'm not hitting it. Your actions are the defining, like, okay, you have faith. Great. You have faith, no problem. But what are you doing? For example, the guy that was at the bottom of the mountain after Jesus transfigured, I can't remember what he said, but then at a point it was like, Lord, help my unbelief. And I think that is such a powerful, like, thing to be in, where you're like, you know what, I'm trying to believe and it's hard for me to believe right now, so Lord, help me. And I like God is so good in that all we actually have to do is show up, and he can carry you through the entire process. God can actually carry you through the entire process. Faith is acting on delusion. Like, I remember there was like a year ago, or was it this year? I don't think it was this year. There was all these things about faith is delulu, and that thing is fact. Like, you actually have, because see, when you be, and this is not just in getting things from God, it's in every part of your life. If you believe, now wait, hold on, give me 2 seconds, let me breathe. If you believe God is who he says he is, you would obey his word. That is, I believe that truly in my heart, that the more you believe God, the more you would obey his word. Because it's the same example I gave in, I can't remember what episode that was, but if you believe in a vision, like if you believe, and this is why, like, cults, because cults, people are in, okay, don't let me say that, because I don't like saying things I haven't actually checked and like strengthened my thoughts on it, so that I'm not just talking. But the point is, when you truly believe in something, you would act accordingly. That is just the truth. If I told you that you should rub, like, let's say now, maybe I'm a shaman or something, and maybe one influencer has come and told everybody that this shaman was one that rubbed my head before I became popular, and you come to me and I tell you, oh, rub this thing on your head every morning, you do it because you actually believe that it would work, even if you've not seen anything. That is the same exact thing. But then the problem usually is, so there's a thing that people say about how sometimes we believe that God is able but is not willing. And okay, not people, my pastors say it, that God is able but is not willing, and is willing but is not willing for me. And I feel like that thing is a lack of knowledge. It's a lack of knowing who God is. Let me give an example. So, through secondary school and probably the first 3 years of uni, I knew God as gracious. So I knew I could not fail. Like, I'm telling you guys, I knew I could not fail. Like, I was sure of it. I knew I could not fail. I knew I could not, like, I knew that I would not fail. So I used to coast. But then I failed. And I feel like God wanted me to see not just his ability to carry me in weakness, but his ability to make me strong, to help me study, to help me understand what I'm studying. Like, you need to know God. The point of this episode, honestly, is get to know your God, because that would affect your expectations. It's now, okay, think about it. If you come and if I tell you now that, oh, you guys, I'm doing a promo, and you can ask me for anything, any amount in the world. If you've been listening to other episodes, you probably have an idea of my financial situation right now. So if you even want to ask, maybe you ask for maybe like £10 or something. Like you won't ask for a lot because you don't because you know me to an extent, and you know how much you know my capabilities. I think that when we start to know God more, we can believe Him for more because we start to see His power. There's a Bible verse that says that you would know Him by experience. Like you would experience God so much that you would enter into the knowledge. Like there's some things that, so somebody was, oh my God, yes, last week Wednesday somebody was preaching, and she was speaking with so much confidence. It was clear that this person had experienced God to a high degree. Like there are things that you can't come and say to that person that would, what they call it, that would shake them. And this is not just in asking God. I want to be clear. This is not about asking God for things. This is about how you live your life. So let's take, you are the head and not the tail. God has told you are the head and not the tail. But this is what's happening in our lives. For a lot of people, the devil has planted all of these things that make it look like you're not the head, and not like look like you are the tail, in fact. And see, let me tell you something. God is stronger than the devil, just to be clear. But the devil is smart. Let's be honest. So there are all these things that make it seem like this thing is not true concerning me. And you have to fight it. And you fight it by speaking. We overcome by the blood of the Lamb and by the word of our testimony. You have to open your mouth and speak. In Joshua, God was telling him, don't let it depart from your mouth. You have to speak it. Like reading the word of God is great. Read it. But you have to speak it because there's power in your tongue. There is power in your tongue. Another thing I would like to quickly address is that it's okay to believe God for the things that you desire. Like, for example, if you are tired of being single, like if you are done, like if you're actually done and you desire a, what do you call it? You desire a partner, you desire a husband, a wife. It's actually okay to believe for it. Like I feel like we only believe God for certain, like for the things that you desire, whatever it is, actually okay to believe God for it. Now, in believing God for it, there's also submission. There's also, God, I believe that you bring this thing to me. So when God says, change this character, go to this place, talk to this person, tell, like, and that's where your faith actually comes up, when you start doing the things that God says you should do. Faith is obedience. You believe, therefore you obey. So I'm reading I'm reading A Purpose Driven Life, and I can't remember what day it was. But then the man, I know it today's own, God I beg. But the man was basically saying that God smiles when we obey Him, when we trust Him supremely. So when you trust God above everything. I remember telling a few people one time that you have to believe God more than like I have to believe God more than I believe that there's a microphone in front of me right now. The word of God must be so true to me that it is truer to me than what I can see with my physical eyes. That is how much we must believe God. When we believe God completely, so not halfway, not for example, the Bible says what they call it, must believe God exists and is a rewarder. You cannot believe God exists and then not believe there is a rewarder. You have to complete it. And there's many Bible verses that I think we take part of and we leave the rest. For who? I don't know. And then wholeheartedly, there's a confession that I take, and it's like I remain in joyous obedience. like your heart, because on I don't know how else I honestly don't know how else to explain, but like, if, okay, now let's say for example, on my Instagram tomorrow you see that I'm now a billionaire. Going back to the example of you asking me for anything, let's say now you see that, oh, what they call it, what's his name, this guy Hathaway and Berkshire, what's his name, oh, I've forgotten his name, I can't remember his name right now. But let's say that guy I'm talking about basically decides to like give me like $1 billion, actually £1 billion, because I mean I spend pounds sterling, you people. But then anyways, imagine I get £1 billion now. And now I'm now recording episode 5, and I'm like, oh, you guys, you can ask me for anything. Just drop in the comments and I'll reach out to you and we can set up a transfer and everything. How much would you ask for now that you know? Or let's say I won't tell you, you know what, wear black, make a video of yourself wearing black and spin it around 15 times, and I'll send you £15,000. Think of how much money that is. Won't you do it? Like, this is simply it. If you believe God is who he says he is, if you believe that he has all the abilities he has, you will do the things he tells you to do, because you cannot fall down. Like, God isn't going to let you suffer. Like, that is the truth. You might go through, and the thing is, me and a few friends we're having a conversation, and we're talking about the fourth man in the fire. Those people decided that, you know what, we trust God so much, we're not going to go against God. And you know, normally now Superman will appear and carry you out of the fire, but Jesus just came and walked with them. Think, like, imagine the warmth. Like, yes, they were in fire, but Jesus, like, somebody said something that you can go through life and you still have all the troubles, but you can go through life with Jesus. So, like, I'm not saying that you won't go through things. I'm not saying, what I'm saying is that if you believe God and you walk with him, you will do the things he tells you to do, even when those things are uncomfortable and they kind of take you through fire. If you read Psalms 23, it actually says, when your path, please hold on, you guys, I'm trying to end at 30 minutes because episode 2 was a little long and people did not listen to it. So I'm trying to end at 30 minutes today. I'm trying to be well behaved. Psalm 23 verse 4. It says, even when the way goes through the valley, death valley. Somebody explained it like this, that the Lord is your shepherd. So that means the one that is leading you. So even when the way that is leading you through, the path that is taking you through, leads through an uncomfortable place, a painful place, he's still with you there. I don't know why I'm now in this like suffering side. It feels like I'm talking about suffering. But the point is, get to know your God. You have to know who you are believing in, because if you don't know, that is why things around you will make you shift ground. That is why when things happen, you shift ground, you would forget, you would let go of things that are true, because you would basically negotiate what is more important for what is less important, because you don't actually know the worth of what you have in your hand. Which is why you have to know God for yourself. You have to get to know him. And God is so good, because it is not just the Bible. God gives you experiences. He starts to show up for you. He starts to teach you. The more you put your head down, the more you put your head in place and let him teach you and lead you and help you, the more he'll reveal himself to you. And that is why, honestly, when you look at some men of God and they are so sure, is from they've gotten to know this God. They know this God clear, so nothing can shift them. And it's not just for pastors, it's for everybody, it's for all of us. We can get to know God so much that nothing can shift us. And last thing before I go, whenever you feel unsure, go into Thanksgiving. What Thanksgiving does for us is that it shifts our mind. Like real life example, I went grocery shopping a few days ago, and I didn't have plenty. I don't. You guys, I'm not actually poor. I'm a very rich man. Let's just be clear. But I feel like I've been talking about not having money a lot. Let me just be clear that I have plenty money. I'm a rich man. Let's just be clear. But I didn't have a lot of money, and I had to kind of manage what I had, and I didn't get everything I wanted. And I was going home and I was feeling a little sad. And I just started saying, God, thank you. I started thanking God for everything inside my bag. So I think I had. I thank God for the peppers I got. I thank God for the onions I got. I thanked God for what else did I even get? I got pasta. And I started thanking God, and it just shifted my mind. And I started now, then I started thanking God for all the things He's doing in my future, all the things that He's moving and arranging for my good. The moment, honestly, the moment you shift to Thanksgiving, it's easier for you to believe. So get to know your God. Get to know your God. Like, read the Bible. Whatever you're going through, use Google. Like, search for scriptures about it. What's God saying about this? What does God say about this? Start to read it, start to meditate on it, start to do it. And then when God gives you instructions, obey. I know that sometimes instructions are not always easy to obey, but then obey. And then, yeah, go from there. And then watch what you say. Very big part. Don't just be saying things. Like, don't pray in the close of your room and go outside and be saying rubbish. That's why now I'm telling you, I'm a rich man. Let's just be clear. Let's just be clear. Because I'm talking about not having money. I'm a blessed man. See, I'm practicing. So, you guys, I'm going to start adding assignments at the end of every podcast. At the end of every episode, sorry, so that we have practical things to do. Because I've actually decided now that I'm going to start listening to it. Because I wanted to rate the podcast on my Spotify today, and they said me I should go and listen to it. I was like, don't you know who I am? But so our assignment for this week is, what areas do you need to trust God more? What areas do you need to know God more? And the actual assignment is, what are you saying that is not in faith? What are you saying about yourself that is not in faith? What's coming out of your mouth about yourself that is not in faith? Like, listen to what you are saying throughout till next week, and then, and correct it, basically. So thank you so much for listening. I've been MJ, and have a great week or a great weekend, whatever time you listen. Bye.